Have you ever had that quiet thought in the back of your mind, that feeling that others are somehow ahead, that life is moving faster for everyone else, that you are slightly behind where you should be? And even if nothing is actually wrong, it still creates this pressure in the background of everything. Welcome to Soul Time, a show that explores the world of unlocking your unique potential. My name is Dr. Katja Makowka, and I'm a teacher at school, a former teacher at universities, and a stress and mental coach. And I'm your host. There is this invisible timeline that so many of us grow up with. A timeline that says when things should happen in life, when we should achieve certain milestones, when life is supposed to fall into place. And even if nobody explicitly say it, we absorb it anyway. School, education, career, relationships, family, stability. Step by step, we begin to compare where we are with where we think we should be. And somewhere along the way, that comparison can quietly turn into pressure. Not loud pressure, not always obvious, but a constant inner feeling of needing to catch up. As if life is a race and everyone else received a map we somehow missed. And what makes this even more complex is that we don't usually see the full picture of others' lives. We see moments, highlights, for example, or big achievements, snapshots of their lives. We don't see uncertainty. We don't see failure, challenges and obstacles. And we don't see doubt. We don't see the parts where others are also questioning themselves, recalibrating, starting again, or feeling lost. We only see what is visible. And then we compare someone's most amazing achievements to our challenges and failures. And that comparison is absolutely not fair at all. Because life isn't only highlights, it's the full picture, the full experience, the questions, the emotions, the moments of uncertainty, and the quiet efforts no one sees, the pressure, the struggle, and the highlights for sure. And yet we still measure ourselves against fragments of other people's journeys. And over time, that can create a feeling of being behind. But maybe the most important thing to realize is this. Life is not actually moving on a single timeline. Even though it feels that way sometimes. There is no universal schedule that we are all supposed to follow in the same order, at the same pace, in the same way. And yet many people still live with that invisible expectation in the background. So when something takes longer, we assume something is wrong. When life looks different than expected, we assume we missed something. When we are still figuring things out, we assume we are late. But what if we are not behind at all? What if we are simply on a different path, a different pace, a different chapter, and a different unfolding? Because life is not just about arriving at milestones. It is also about becoming and growing. And becoming rarely follows a straight line. Sometimes we pause, sometimes we change direction, sometimes we outgrow things we once thought were right for us. And sometimes we need longer to understand what actually matters to us. And none of that is a delay in life. It is life. And when we look at it this way, something softens. The pressure doesn't fully disappear, but it becomes quieter. We start to see that growth is not only visible in achievements, it is also visible in awareness and in resilience, in how we respond to challenges, in the way we show up every day, in how we return to ourselves after difficult moments. And often, those things are not immediately visible from the outside, but they are deeply real, especially when we think about the younger generation. This matters even more because children and young people are constantly absorbing messages about timing and success. They notice what is celebrated and they notice what is compared. And they notice what is considered on track and what is not. And without us even realizing it, they can begin to internalize the idea that their worth is connected to speed. How fast they can learn, how fast they succeed, how quickly they reach certain milestones. But when they see adults who are still growing, still learning, still adjusting their path without shame, they learn something very different. They learn that life is not a race to be won, but a journey to be lived. That it is okay to not have everything figured out at a certain age. That change is not failure. And that different timing doesn't mean less value. And maybe that is one of the most powerful messages we can model. Not perfection, not having it all together, but honesty, patience, resilience, and the quiet confidence that we are allowed to grow at our own pace. Because when we step back from comparison, we often realize something important. We are not actually behind. We are simply in our own process. And that process is still unfolding and still shaping us and still teaching us and still moving us forward in ways we may not fully see yet. So maybe today is not about catching up. Maybe it is about softening that inner pressure just a little and remembering that life is not asking us to be on time. It is asking us to be present. And from that place, we are never behind. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Soul Time. I'm very grateful because you have given me the greatest treasure of your life, your time. If you enjoyed this episode, click the subscribe button so that you get a notification every time a new episode is out.